So, what are speech and language communication needs? So, speech is how we produce speech sounds, and this can be referred to as the articulation or intelligibility and how accurately a child can produce specific sounds. For example, b or m or d. Children make speech sounds often in their younger years, such as gog instead of dog. However, speech disorders that continue in older children can be related to reading difficulties. The second we have is language. Language is the words we use and how we put these words together to convey meaning and a meaningful message. Language also includes understanding and speaking word, sentence structures, and grammar. Finally, we have communication. This is the way we use language in a social context or situation. It includes understanding social and communication cues and interacting with people individually or within a group. There are both verbal and non-verbal forms of communication and skills. For example, body language and how you would greet someone when you walk through a door. So, what are the challenges for young people in secondary schools with speech, language and communication needs? So, here's just a brief overview of a few communication difficulties which a student may have at Haggerston and what we focus on in class. So the first is a difficulty with narration or narrative difficulty. So young people may be able to produce long stories, but there are still a lot of errors in these stories. For example, when they are asked to give specific information or a in-depth explanation about an event that happened with key points which could tell the listener that they fully understood the text. Secondly, we have vocabulary. Vocab is how the child understands the use of vocab, or the student understands the use of vocab, and offers specific, words to express themselves and convey the meaning that they understand pieces of text or they understand what the teacher has said. Then we have social communication. Social communication is when a child finds it difficult to join in and keep up with the conversations of others by not tuning in to someone else's expressed interests or needs. Generally, in older children, difficulties with the meaning and use of language are more pronounced than grammatical aspects. So the inappropriate interactions really stand out, and these can be indicated by a load of different forms of a person's ability to communicate with others. For example, eye contact or inappropriate comments to another, or not greeting someone in the correct or appropriate manner. Then we have understanding figurative or non-literal language. So this difficulty in understanding complex sentences, such as reversible sentences, which means that using language for a wide range of purposes, such as negotiation, compromise, and problem solving, can be really difficult for that individual or student. Then we have information processing. So this is working memory capacity and speed of processing that affects how a person copes with large amounts of information and text from a history book or a geography book or an English book, and how they deal with processing this information and then relaying it to a teacher or another peer. This can also affect people's ability to understand when they hear speech or language, and they may take a lot longer to process this information and then write it down on a piece of paper or describe it to another person.